Bounty Hunter by Ralph Compton, Episode 2. Mr. Tone, there's someone at the front desk asking to see you, sir. The morning hour was late, and Tone was the sole patron at the Riverbank Hotel's dining room, where he had been enjoying his ritual breakfast, when he was home in Reno at least, of coffee, 3 fingers of straight Kentucky bourbon, and his first cigar of the day. Irritated that his tranquility had been disturbed, Tone nodded to the desk clerk. "Very well, show it me in Lawson." The clerk bowed and glided away. He returned a few moments later with a small, wizened man who looked like a molten bantam rooster dressed in expensive broadcloth. The man's smile died somewhere between his thin lips and his eyes. "Mr. Tone, I presume." Tone carefully placed his cigar in the ashtray, rose to his feet. "I don't believe I've had the pleasure." Luther Penman, attorney at law of San Francisco town. The man gave a quick, bird-like bow. "At your service, sir." Tone waved Penman into a chair. "Please be seated." Penman perched on the edge of the chair. His glittering black eyes darted like an inquisitive crow, taking in the younger man's expensive tailoring and snow-white linen. "I'm happy to see you're prospering, Mr. Tone." Tone smiled. "I've had better times and worse. Not much better, I'll be bound. I was about to say that your elegant and expensive suit is by Brooks Brothers of New York. But now on closer inspection, I believe it was tailored farther west, perhaps by Marks and Cohen of Silver City. Your diamond ring and stick pin, of course, are of local manufacture. The workmanship is slightly crude, but the stones are of excellent quality." Penman glanced over his shoulder, then leaned forward in his chair. "Are you armed, Mr. Tone?" Tone nodded. "A 44-40 in a shoulder holster." He grinned. "By Sam Colt of Hartford, Connecticut." "Yes, a clever little quip to be sure," Penman said, flashing a grimace that may have been a smile. "But you understand I have enemies in Reno, and they could quite soon become your enemies." Tone raised an eyebrow in surprise, but said only, "Coffee?" "Tea, if you please." The waiter, a sad-looking man wearing a black clawhammer suit, was eyeing the table, wringing his hands. Whether he was eager to leave or fearful of interrupting, Tone could not guess. "Henry, tea for the gentleman." The waiter seemed relieved. He smiled and bowed, then returned a couple minutes later with a china teapot, cup, and a saucer. Tone poured tea for Penman. "Cream? Sugar?" "Neither, thank you." "Cigar?" "I don't indulge." "Bourbon?" The lawyer shook his bald head. "Then perhaps you should state your business." Tone sipped his whiskey, then picked up his cigar. "I must admit, the idea of your enemies all of a sudden becoming mine intrigues me." "I will talk plainly, Mr. Tone. No beating around the bush. But I will be circumspect of speech." "Yes, please do." Penman tried his tea, holding the cup up in both white, blue-veined hands. He peered over the rim. I'm here to make you rich, Mr. Tone." Speaking through a cloud of fragrant blue smoke, Tone said, Now you interest me even more. I can't reveal all the details of my proposition. That will be done by my principal. But it involves the deaths of 6 men. I can tell Penman set his cup on the saucer without a sound. Ah, the elimination of, shall we say, 6 business rivals your line your line of work, is it not? There are bounties on these men, yes, enough to make me rich. That seems hardly likely. You are correct. You will not make a lot of money from the bounties. In fact, none at all. But as you will learn, my client will pay a bonus, a very large bonus, for each of the dead men. Who are these business rivals? Penman's back teeth nibbed the insides of his cheeks. Finally, he said, "Come now, Mr. Tone, be circumspect. Remember, curiosity killed the cat. Be assured, all will be revealed in the course of time." Tone drained his glass. "When do I meet this client of yours?" "I'm meeting a lady of my recent acquaintance for late lunch, and I expect to spend the evening with her." "That will be impossible, I'm afraid. We leave on the 1:30 Cannonball for San Francisco." Tone shook his head. "No, what you suggest is impossible. If you knew the young lady in question, I'm sure you would understand why. I realize that courtesans don't come cheap in Reno, Mr. Tone, but is she really worth the many thousands of dollars?" The lawyer's hard, obstinate gaze razored into the younger man's face. "Give me an answer to that question, and be quick. If you prefer riding a sweating, grunting whore to earning a fortune, then I must find someone else." "The lady is not a whore, Mr. Penman," Tone said, his voice edged. "All women are whores, Mr. Tone. The sin of Eve condemned them to eternal damnation, and they use their wicked feminine wiles to drag men down to hell with them." Penman sat back in his chair, allowing his shoulders just to touch the upholstery, and spoke above steepled fingers. "I can see the answer to my question in your eyes, Mr. Tone. You desire the woman, yes, but you want the money more." Tone made no answer, and the lawyer said, "I want you above anyone else for this task. I sense a stillness in you, Mr. Tone, but it is the calm before the storm. Handsome, elegant, right now you look like any other prosperous businessman in Reno, but we know better, you and I, don't we? You're a killer, Mr. Tone, and the job I'm offering you requires just that. A man who will kill without hesitation." Tone attempted to explain he was a bounty hunter, bound to the letter of the law, but Penman talked over him. "I heard about your desperate shooting scrap at the Stillwell gang. That was well handled." "There was no Stillwell gang. John Wesley Stillwell would dab a loop on a few stick-eared calves now and then, and nobody much minded. But when a cowboy got killed chasing him, for fun probably, everything changed. It seems the cowboy was well liked, at least what folks claimed after he was dead. I don't know what they claimed when he was still alive. Whether he was a calf poacher, Poacher or not, you killed Stillwell anyway, and a couple of his sons. The local ranchers had the Yuma vigilantes put a price on Stillwell's head, dead or alive. I went to collect it. I say again, you killed him. Tone nodded. He was notified, but he ignored me. Calm, Mr. Tone. A straight answer to a simple question. Will you accompany me to San Francisco on the 1:30 train? Yes, since at the moment I have no other pressing business except a lunch with a lady friend. I'm sure she'll get over it. I hazard that by 10 o'clock tonight, some other young buck will have his head between her thighs. Penman, did anyone ever tell you that you have the soul of a poet? Mr. Tone, I have no soul. I'm an attorney, a very successful one, and poetry is not part of me. The little man consulted the gold watch he had taken from his vest pocket. It's now noon. I suggest you throw a few things in your bag and meet me in the lobby in a half an hour. You're allowing us a lot of time. The station is only a 10-minute walk away. Mr. Tone, we may need that time. I am convinced someone will make an attempt on our lives before we even reach our destination.